No one loses inner peace because they feel too much. The real collapse begins when someone tries to control everything. And here's the strange part. The tighter a person holds on, the faster life slips away, almost as if reality itself is allergic to those who grip too hard. Most people think they're suffering from a lack of strength, when the real problem is usually the opposite, too much attachment. It's the paradox almost nobody sees. Yet it silently ruins relationships, goals, and even mental clarity. At some point, everyone has tried to fix something by force. Pushed a conversation that only got worse, squeezed a goal until it turned into anxiety, tried to predict every detail of a future that refuses to be controlled. It's not bad intent. It's fear. Fear of losing. Fear of failing. Fear of not being enough. But it's exactly this fear, disguised as effort, that creates inner chaos. Life doesn't fall apart because someone feels deeply. It falls apart because they try to control what was never in their hands. And here's the counterintuitive truth that changes everything. Detachment is not coldness, avoidance, or indifference. It's a superpower. It's the ability to breathe while everyone else reacts, to see clearly while everyone else panics, to stay present when everything tries to pull you out of yourself. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why this power has always been there, and how to activate it in a way so simple it might even feel absurd. There's an old story about someone who realized, a bit too late, that controlling everything was exactly what was destroying their peace. They believed that holding tight meant safety, but the more they tried to manage every detail, the more things slipped away, like sand pouring through their fingers. Life has a strange trick. The moment effort turns into tension, what should work simply falls apart. Many people live this way, convinced they must squeeze harder to avoid losing, not noticing that the squeezing itself is what causes the loss. A simple example makes the paradox clear. A phone signal. When someone gets desperate to find it, stretching their arm, spinning around, moving from place to place, gripping the phone as if pressure would pull signal out of the air, the signal disappears even more. But when the person relaxes, stops chasing, and stands still, it returns. Emotions, goals, people, and projects behave the same way. Conversations get worse under pressure. Goals freeze under obsession. Creativity dies when the mind is trapped in "this has to work." The problem isn't lack of effort, it's excess attachment. Many people have fallen into this trap, trying to carry everything alone, forcing relationships, pushing opportunities, tightening every plan so it won't fall apart. And the effect is always the same: the more force, the more wear, the more loss. It's like pulling an old rope until it snaps. But something shifts the moment someone realizes that some battles are won not with intensity, but with space. And that discovery opens the door to something deeper. A silent mistake more common than it seems. One that destroys inner peace without anyone noticing. There's a path many people choose when life becomes heavy. Becoming stone. It's that moment someone decides to numb themselves, to treat emotions as weakness and shut everything down. At first, it seems to work. The person becomes tougher, more in control, more efficient. But soon comes the cost. Apathy grows, sudden outbursts appear out of nowhere, and impulsive decisions erupt like delayed emotional explosions. Turning off the emotional system may look like strength, but it creates a dangerous emptiness that always comes back to collect its debt. On the opposite extreme are those who fuse with what they feel. Instead of having an emotion, they become the emotion. If anxiety appears, they are anxiety. If irritation shows up, they become irritability. It's like pressing your face against a window. The closer you get, the less you can see. This fusion creates impulsiveness, insecurity, and a narrow, tunnel-like vision, almost like someone trying to see the whole world through the barrel of a gun. Every message becomes an attack. Every delay becomes rejection. Every problem becomes catastrophe. The world shrinks, and the person shrinks with it. What's most interesting is that these two extremes often alternate in those who don't understand their own emotions. Some days they shut down completely. Other days they drown in everything they feel. And when this cycle repeats, peace naturally disappears. It's not weakness or bad luck. It's the inevitable result of living without internal space, without emotional distance. And it's exactly here that an unexpected possibility appears. something between these extremes that changes everything. There's a rare skill that transforms how someone relates to their emotions. Observing from a distance, not ignoring, not exaggerating, just creating space. It's like taking 3 steps back inside your own mind and seeing the emotion as a visitor, not an invader. In that moment, the emotion stops being a command and becomes simple data. This is irritation. This is frustration. This is anxiety. That tiny shift reorganizes everything because it creates a gap between feeling and reacting. Many people think detachment means not caring, but it's the complete opposite. Detachment is lucid presence. It's the ability to feel what's happening without drowning in it. The metaphor is simple. Emotional fusion is drowning. Emotional amputation is avoiding the water. Detachment is learning how to swim. And someone who learns how to swim doesn't fear the water. They know when to float, when to dive, and when to step out. This is trained in tiny moments. Before responding to a difficult message, before arguing, before assuming the worst. When someone realizes they can choose how to react, something profound shifts. The weight that once felt unavoidable becomes manageable. The emotion stops commanding and starts cooperating. The more internal space a person builds, the more they notice nuances that were invisible before. It's like opening a window inside yourself and letting light in. But this is only the beginning, because once someone learns to swim in their emotional ocean, they discover an even rarer power. The clarity that appears when you change your position in the situation. There's a striking story about a professional caught in a chaotic meeting. Voices clashed, ideas collided, and everything felt on the verge of collapse. Then, almost instinctively, the person took one literal step back. Just one. And suddenly, the whole scene changed. From that slight distance, they saw what no one else was seeing. The real cause of the conflict, the simplest solution, and even the emotional tension each person carried. Sometimes clarity doesn't come from thinking harder, it comes from stepping back 1 meter. This principle applies everywhere. In arguments, tense messages, and situations that feel urgent and overwhelming. When someone is glued to the problem, their vision narrows, almost like emotional nearsightedness. It feels like looking at the world through a tiny slit. But when they move, breathe, and observe in silence, the entire landscape shifts. Speaking less and listening more becomes a power move, not a passive one. Moving the body, standing up, walking, looking out a window, reorganizes the brain and restores clarity lost under pressure. Anyone who masters this strategic distancing discovers an emotional superpower, the ability to see a kilometer by stepping back a single meter. This isn't poetic philosophy, it's real-world application. In family conflicts, professional decisions, or even responses to passive-aggressive messages, this shift changes everything. The person stops being swallowed by the moment and starts seeing the whole picture. And when that kind of clarity appears, there's room for something even greater, a practical formula to activate detachment in everyday life. Detachment doesn't need to be mystical or complicated. There's a practical formula anyone can use daily, starting with the essential first step. Observe without reacting. Instead of being dragged by the emotion, pause and name it. Identification cuts the emotion's power in half. Then comes the 4-4-4 breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4. This pause creates space, weakens emotional fusion, and restores lucidity. The third step is one of the strongest. Delay emotional decisions for 24 hours. Harsh emails, impulsive messages, pressured invitations, heated arguments, all of it can wait. What feels urgent almost never is. This delay prevents damage, regret, and emotional explosions. Next comes the decompression question, one of the most underrated tools on earth. Will this matter in 5 years? When the answer is no, and it usually is, the weight evaporates. What once felt huge becomes a footnote. The final step completes the formula. Practice in small battles. Car honking, passive-aggressive comment, an annoying notification. These are training grounds for the mind. Just like learning anything new starts with simple exercises, mastering detachment starts with everyday irritations. Those who learn to stay present in small triggers become unshakable in big storms. And it's in this daily repetition of micro-victories that something extraordinary happens. A shift that transforms not just behavior, but the entire emotional energy a person carries. When you look at everything we explored, it's not abstract philosophy, it's real life. It's a chance to turn emotions that once crushed you into tools that finally work in your favor. The only question left is, what will you do with this now? Will you keep reacting on autopilot, letting any emotion dictate the direction of your day? Or will you apply the simple steps that give you clarity, inner strength, and emotional freedom? Imagine how much would change if you tried just one technique today. A conversation that ends peacefully instead of exploding. A decision made wisely instead of impulsively. A problem that finally loses its emotional power over you. What's stopping you from trying? Fear? Habit? Or the belief that change must be complicated? In reality, change begins with tiny gestures. In the breath, the pause, the step back that lets you see further. So ask yourself, do you want a life where emotions control you, or a life where they serve you? If you're choosing the second, and I suspect you are, then keep going. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay on this journey. Every video is another step toward becoming someone more centered, clear, and free inside. Your next transformation starts right now.